What's going on, Central Unit? It's the Central Man here. So, back again with another WCW pay-per-view review. This time, going to review WCW Starrcade 1991. This show was at the Scoop was it the Norfolk Scoop in Norfolk, Virginia on the 29th of November. No, sorry, my bad. 29th of December, sorry, 1991. The attendance for the show is 9,000, and the buy rate for Starrcade of 1991 is 150,000 pay-per-view buys. Really a downgrade than the previous year's Starrcade because that show got about 165,000 pay-per-view buys. This is the first Starrcade under the WCW banner because the previous year was under WCW slash NWA. Yeah, and they broke away from NWA. They kind of dropped the NWA name. They're still under the National Wrestling Alliance. They'll truly break away from the NWA in 1993. Anyway, and also this is the first Starrcade without Ric Flair because in the summer of 1991, WCW and Jim Herd fired Ric Flair because if I review Great American Bash 1991, I will do it. Basically, Jim Herd is an asshole. He's basically this is during like the backstage feud between Jim Herd and Ric Flair. They took Ric Flair off the booking committee. They're trying to bury Ric Flair, trying to ditch the Nature Boy gimmick. Trying to give Ric Flair a new gimmick. They wanted to become Spartacus, made him cut his hair. And then I think it was the week before the Great American Bash 1991, Ric Flair left and really got fired. Went to the WWF, took the World Heavyweight Championship with him. Did the whole real world champion storyline in the WWF. So anyway, this is the first Starrcade without Ric Flair. That's the backstory to it. So anyway, the commentators for Starrcade of 1991, we got Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross, still in AEW. Really good commentators in those period in the 1990s. Anyway, so the tagline for this Starrcade is it's called Lethal Lottery Battle Ball. The main event of Starrcade of 1991 is the Battle Ball Battle Royal. I'll get to it end of this not end but later on this review. So it's basically they're trying to be their version of the Royal Rumble. For the whole bulk of this show, they had Eric Bischoff. This is before he became a commentator. This is before he became, was it the exclusive producer of WCW? He was, I think he was an interviewer. Missy Hyatt and Magdalene TA basically did the whole, a tombola, basically drawing wrestlers' names out of the hat. It's basically a tag team format. They did it at the previous year's Starrcade in 1990, so I don't want to get into it, but so basically in these, the whole bulk of the show is basically tag team matches. Winner advance into this Battle Ball Battle Royal. So yeah, a lot of tag team wrestling on this show. Anyway, so the first match to kick off Starrcade of 1991. We got the first Lethal Lottery tag team match. We got Michael P.S. Hayes and Tracy Smothers, the late Tracy Smothers. He's passed away a couple of months ago. One half of the Southern Boys slash what's called the Young Pistols, taking on Jimmy Garvin and Marcus Bagwell, the future Buff Bagwell. At this point, yeah, the Freebirds are on their last legs because at this point, Bad Street was out of the group because they changed the Bad Street gimmick because Bad Street is Brad Armstrong. He's the brother of Road Dogg Jesse James. They basically changed the gimmick of Bad Street because they're in a lot of shit by Disney because Disney friends to sue WCW. Anyway, so Bad Street was gone. And basically, at this point, there was no real direction for the Freebirds. So the remaining two members of the Freebirds are Michael P.S. Hayes and Jimmy Garvin. Anyway, and The match was okay. It was an okay match. It had some decent, good wrestling. With Marcus Alexander Bagwell, future buff Bagwell. It's a shame he never got a proper, true crack in WCW. He's never like a, a singles champion. Yeah, he was a tag team champion, with Scotty Riggs. This is like in 1995, the American males, but he's never like a world champion or United States champion or TV champion. He's just never become a single star. He's just basically, I don't know, I don't want to get into it. The match was it was decent, but the problem is it was boring. For the whole bulk of this show, they produced a lot of boring matches. It's just like brought this show down, in my opinion. In the end, Bagwell hit. I think it was Smothers with I think it was a fisherman suplex to score the victory. I think it's both Bagwell and Garvin advance into the Battle Ball. Like I said, this makes no sense. The Freebirds and the Young Pistols / Southern Boys, they've been feuding with the Freebirds, 1990 and 1991. Why they like, oh, this is making no sense. This tombola, drawing out of the hats. It's just like random parishes, random parent tag teams, making a face teaming up with a heel. It never works in pro wrestling. They never agreed, and it's just I don't want to get into it. So yeah, the show afterwards went downhill, absolute downhill. Anyway, the next match. By the way, the Freebirds they'll be disbanded in 1992. Anyway, the next match we got. This is a second Lethal Lottery tag team match. We got Stunning Steve Austin and Ravishing Rick Rude, two members of the Dangerous Alliance, taking on Van Hammer, who will be a future member of MIA, the Misfits in Action, and Big Joss. Big Joss is Matt Osborne, the first Doink in WWF 2 years later. Match sucked. It was absolutely boring. Austin and Rude, they're good workers. I'm not saying they're bad workers, but I don't know. Big Joss is okay, but Van Hammer sucked. I don't know why he's still in the company. He was in the company until 2000. Like I said, part of the Misfits in Action, man. In the end, Rude hit the Rude Awakening onto Van Hammer to win this match. Both Austin and Rude advance into the Battle Ball. The next match, we got Dustin Rhodes. I almost say Dusty Rhodes, but Dustin Rhodes, the future Goldust, teaming up with Richard Morton. I don't know if the York Foundation was still together in 1991 because they will later on disband the group. So yeah, we've got Dustin Rhodes and Richard Morton taking on Larry Sabisco and oh boy, L.E. Gante. Holy shit, man. El Gigante will be the future Giant Gonzalez in the WWF 2 years later. El Gigante is basically the Great Khali of the 1990s. He fucking sucks. This match sucked. This is not a good match. In the end, you had Sabisco really arguing with El Gigante, slapping him. You had basically El Gigante basically hip toss Sabisco into the ring. I'm guessing like both Morton and Rhodes drop kicked him, and Rhodes and Morton got the victory. They qualify for the Battle Royal. Next match, we've got Bill Kazmaier and Juice and Thunder Liger taking on DDP and Mike Graham. I'm a big fan of Strongman. I watch a lot of World's Strongest Man. If you don't know who Bill Kazmaier is, Bill Kazmaier, he's a world champion strongman. He's the first three-time winner of the World's Strongest Man contest in the early 80s, 80 to 82. He feuded with for the old school British strongman fans, Jeff Cabes and John Paul Simerson in the early 80s because he was banned for 5 years for competing at World's Strongest Man because he was too competitive, too dominant. So at this point, Kaz's, Kazmaier's basically his strongman career is nearly at an end. He didn't really compete at the World's Strongest Man since 1989. he was in his transformational period, strongman to, I think he had a stint in American football and now pro wrestling with WCW. I done my research about Mike Graham, not too much. Mike Graham I think he's the son of Eddie Graham. I don't want to get into it. That was like old school. That's like basically like 50s, 60s, 70s. Anyway, I know who DDP is. DDP, at this point, he was basically starting out as a pro wrestler because he's been like in the business since the mid 80s, as a manager. This is his first, I think it's his first year, fifth year as a pro wrestler. This is before they did the stuff with the arm wrestling with the Diamond Doll Kimberly. Anyway, Jushin Thunder Liger, he's a star in Japan. I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame yet. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. He brought this style to America. He's done well mostly in New Japan. In America, he only appeared for a cup of coffee. In WCW, and he didn't really wrestle in the WWE. He wrestled in NXT in recent years. 5 years ago against Tyler Breeze, but never truly wrestled in the WWF. It's a shame. He might do well in wrestle in TNA, but he never wrestled like in WWE. He should have like debuted in the Ruthless Aggression era, be part of the SmackDown brand. But it's just what it is. Anyway, the match, it was okay. It wasn't really a bad match, to be honest. Kazma is not a great worker. Actually, he's not a great worker, but he did okay. He's built like, they're hyping up he's the world's strongest man. It's true to be the world's strongest man. I'm not crapping on Mark Henry, he's not really truly a world's strongest man. The difference between Kazmaier and Mark Henry, because Mark Henry never compete at a world's strongest man competition. Kazmaier did. He's a 3-time world's strongest man winner. Every time like DDP trying to pick up Kazmaier, because he's, Kazmaier is not fat. Kazmaier's got shoulders and arms. He's a powerlifter. Before he was a strongman, he was a powerlifter. The match was okay. In the end, you had Kazmaier gorilla press Thunder Liger, and they did like this 8 crossbody onto DDP to win this match. Both Kazmaier and Luger advanced into the Battle Royal. And moving on to basically the only best match on the show. That's not saying too much, but we got Lex Luger, the world champion, and Double A Arn Anderson. They are basically former members of the Four Horsemen, because at this point the Four Horsemen was no more, because after 1991, because Ric Flair is no longer in WCW, really the top faction at this point was the Dangerous Alliance. That's Paul Heyman's group. They taken on Terrence Taylor and the Z-Man Tom Zink. Match was good. It was a decent match, but it was a bit boring. Like the first 2 matches were 12 minutes. I felt like they were like 15 minutes, but this was a little boring. But yeah, he has some moments. Tom Zink's a good worker. It's a shame he never truly got over. I think like that botch cross body at Clash of the Champions 13, the previous year in '99, kind of fucked him. But he's a good worker, Tom Zink. But it's a shame. I think it's just like lack of personality and charisma. That could be the reason. Like I said, I think they're still around the York Foundation. It's a shame now the York Foundation never lasts long in WCW. It had some potential. They're basically computer geeks. Like you had Alexander York, Terry Runnels, basically checking up the opponent's weakness and strategy. If they did it right now, the gimmick, I think it'll get really over. Anyway, the match was good. In the end, I think Luger hit Terrence Taylor with a attitude adjustment. This is not the same as John Cena's attitude adjustment, because that is a fireman's carry. This attitude adjustment is a power driver. So he hits basically Taylor with a power driver to win this match. Both Luger and Double A advance into the Battle Royal. I'll get to that match later on. Yeah, I think afterwards, Terrence Taylor will become Terry Made Man. I don't know. It's just like, I think it's a shame how Terry Taylor never got that respect. He got respect in the NWA, but I think the one company killed him. you know, really killed it, truly killed his credibility and almost killed his career was the WWF in 1989. No, yeah, in the in the late 80s, he was doing the whole fucking Red Rooster gimmick. Holy shit, man! Holy motherfucking shit! Anyway, the next match, we got Ricky Steamboat and Todd Champion. He was one half of a tag team called the Patriots, taking on Cactus Jack, aka Mick Foley, the future Dude Love, the future Mankind, and Sergeant Lee Parker. Before the start of this match, you had Abdullah the Butcher, who's at the time teaming up with Cactus Jack, being down Lee Parker. He's about to get into the ring. The referee stopped him, and then the match was sucked. The most memorable in this match is Mick Foley. Mick Foley was the MVP in this match. Basically, he screamed, did the eye gouging, raking the eyes of Ricky Steamboat. He did like that typical dive off the top rope into the outside, like on the ring mat. This is like, I think it's 1 year before, under the Bill Watts era in WCW, they take all the ring mats away, and I don't want to get into it. Anyway, so in the end, Steamboat hit the crossbody onto, I think it was on Parker to win this match. Yeah, this is better. I wish they just. It was better off. I wish they did Steamboat versus Cactus Jack. That could be a much better match instead of doing a tag team match. This is the problem with this format on this show. It's shit. It's just basically, hey, let's do some random tag team. Splitting up some tag teams for one night, random tag team matches. Let's throw this battle ball concept on the wall and make sure it sticks. It backfired us. I think they still do the battle ball until 1996. And then afterwards they ditched the battle ball concept. I should say it after after I reviewed this battle ball match. Like I said, I'll get to it later on. So anyway, Steamboat and Champion advance into the battle ball. Next match, we got Sting and Abdullah the Butcher taking on Bobby Eaton, represent the Dangerous Alliance, and Flying Brian Pillman. Oh yeah, they ditched. Before that, Brian Pillman was the Yellow Dog. That was a crap gimmick. And then afterwards, they ditched the character to be just Brian Pillman, Flying Brian Pillman. Anyway, so at this point, the big storyline in WCW at the time was between Sting. Sting was feuding both with the world champion Lex Luger and Rick Rude. Because Rick Rude debuted in WCW. I think he defeated Sting at Clash of the Champions. I'm guessing Clash of the Champions 18. No, yeah, I think it's 18. I don't know. I think it was 18. I haven't gone into that Clash of the Champions yet. I haven't reviewed that show yet because I'm taking a break of doing Clash of the Champions show. So, I forgot to. I think I brought to bring up that because at the previous match from earlier, Austin was the TV champion and Rick Rude was the United States champion. So Luger, I think he cost Sting the match at that clash because I think Sting suffered a knee injury. So basically, had I think Luger put a hit on Sting. Had Abdullah the Butcher and Cactus Jack trying to injure Sting. Trying to put Sting out of business. I think they did it years later. They did it in the 80s. I had Harley Race put a bounty on Ric Flair, and then WWE will do it in 2003 when Triple H put a bounty on Goldberg. Anyway, the match sucked. It was sucked. Anyway, you had Abdullah the Butcher attacking Sting, his partner. This is the problem why it never worked in pro wrestling. Every time they keep doing it, never worked. Have a babyface and a heel teaming up. Never worked. They're never gonna team up. They're just basically gonna stab the heel gonna stab the babyface in the back in a tag team match. What were they thinking? This is I don't know. This is years before Vince Russo. This is completely stupid and anarchy. Basically you had Abdullah attacking Sting with a stick. A minute into this match, when the referee was distracted, he choked Sting on the ropes. What the hell? It was better off. Why could they have Sting and Pillman versus Eaton and Abdullah Butcher? That would make sense. You got a babyface versus a heel. Babyface and the babyface teaming up faces the heels. I don't understand this, man. So anyway, so in the end, you had Cactus Jack trying to came to the ring, trying to hit Sting, but Sting got out of the way. Jack hit really Abdullah with the stick. In the end, Sting hit like a crossbody to win this match. Both Sting and Abdullah the Butcher advanced into the Battle Ball, and afterwards you got Abdullah and Cactus Jack feuding, fighting. So yeah, this show went absolutely downhill. You know, this has got to be one of the worst Starrcades of all time. One of the worst. Jesus Christ. So anyway, so the next match of this Battle Ball Lethal Lottery tag team match, we got Scott Steiner and Firebreaker Chip, the other half of the Patriots, taking on. No, before that, sorry. I'll get to that match shortly. Anyway, after the Sting Sting and Dola versus Eaton and Pillman, the next match we got Vader and Mr. Hughes taking on the Night Stalker and Rick Steiner. Originally, it was supposed to be the Diamond Stud Scott Hall was supposed to be in this match, competing on this show. Unfortunately, he suffered a injury to his arm, so basically. Not a Night Stalker took his place. So the Night Stalker is Brian Adams, future Atom Bomb in the WWF. Match sucked. Vader's a good worker. This is like the couple of matches ago. I talk about Steamboat and Champion taking on Cactus Jack and Parker. It was better off doing Steamboat versus Cactus Jack. Why can't you just done Vader versus Rick Steiner? Because they're both good workers. But instead, it's just basically you got Mr. Hughes, not a good worker. Atom Bomb he was there for his size, but he's never that good. Anyway, match sucked. In the end, Rick Steiner hit like a diving bulldog onto Fig was on Mr. Hughes, and unfortunately, he was not the legal man. In the end, Vader hit a big splash onto the Night Stalker to win this match. Both Vader and Mr. Hughes advanced into the Battle Ball. And then we got Rick's brother Scott teaming up with Firebreaking Chip, other half of the Patriots. That tag team never lasts long. I think it broke away from 1992. Taking on Johnny B. Bad and Arachnid Man. Arachnid Man is basically Brad Armstrong under a mask. He's basically a parody of Spider-Man. Like I said, they ditched the Bad Street gimmick. When he's teaming up with the Freebirds, because WCW got shit for this, because they're in a lot of legal. They end up getting sued by Disney for using the trademark Bad Street. So they broke away. They didn't really broke up Freebirds, but they kind of kicked Bad Street out of the group. So they repackaged Brad Armstrong as Arachnid Man. So unfortunately that gimmick never lasts long. I'll get to it shortly. Match sucked. In the end, Steiner hit, I think it was a suplex onto Arachnid Man to score the victory. Both Steiner and Chip advanced into the Battle Ball. As for Arachnid Man, like I said, they ditched the character again because WCW once again. They got a lot of shit by Marvel. They were about to sue WCW because the Arachnid Man, like I said, it's the parody of Spider-Man. So they ditched the character. I don't know what he become after Arachnid Man. Like I said, they got a lot of shit by not just Disney but Marvel. This is like 20 years before Disney and Marvel teaming up. A partnership. This is like how WCW go away. They were doing like these gimmicks. They end up getting sued by top companies like Disney. WCW will team up with Disney, do the NGM studio shows in '93. This was like this is before like they truly broke away from the NWA, and also Marvel. It's just like they end up getting trolled by the WWF. With the Big Boss Man Ray trailer. That's another story for another time. And moving on to the final Lethal Lottery tag team match, we've got Ron Simmons. He's a solo star at this moment because Doom is officially no more. Teaming up with Tommy Rich, taking on Steve Armstrong, the other half of the Young Pistols, and PN News. I don't want to get into it. Match suck as well. most of the tag team matches on the show, instead of Luger, Anderson versus Taylor, Z-Man, the opener, Hayes and Smothers versus Garvin and Bagwell, and yeah, and Kazma Luger versus DDP and Graham. They're okay, but not good. But like I said, like if they cut some matches off the card, or cut some time in matches of this show, if they cut some time off these matches and cut some really take some matches off the card, this could be a better show. But it wasn't. It really dragged this show down, in my opinion. So anyway, the match sucked. In the end, Simmons hit like a spine buster onto, I think it was on Armstrong, because PN News, I think it could be PN News, but it's one of them, to become the final competitors in the Battle Ball. And then speaking of the Battle Ball, we got the Battle Ball match. I think the winner gets a shot at the World Championship. Yeah, this is the really trying to compete with WWF, because this is their answer to the Royal Rumble. The Battle Ball match, it was okay. This is similar because a month ago I reviewed World War III 1995. You had 2 rings, because the World War III matches had 3 rings. Had to because this is a 40-man battle royal, on the show, and then at World War III it'll be a 60-man battle royal. That's too much people. I don't. This is because I think the reason why the Battle Ball didn't do well in WCW. I don't want to get into it. So the match sucked. I think Sting was the really eliminated Luger. Why Luger's in this match? Why could it be? I don't get it. I simply don't want to get into it. Luger, if it's for the World Championship, why no, we'll really get winner gets a shot at the World Championship. Why can you have Luger not compete in this concept on the show? I don't get it. I simply do not get it. Yeah, Sting won this match. I feel like one of the match you had Rude basically hit Sting, trying to help Luger win this match. Because like I said, Sting was feeding both Luger and Rude, because I think Rude defeats Sting at Clash of the Champions 18, I think. That'll be in November. They always do their Clash of the Champions shows in November. They started in the first, I think it was February, and then ended in November. That was like the 4 shows. They do 4 shows a year until they go to the two Clash of the Champions shows. That'll be like in 1995. Anyway, so Sting was the last man. He won this match. He gets a shot at the World Championship. He gets a shot at Luger for the world title. Yeah, it was better off doing it if they just did a 20-man. I understand they can't do the same thing as WWF. Like I said, they end up getting sued. You got to be very careful. So it's just 2 fucking rings, 40-man. Sometimes with battle royals, they could be a hit or miss. Same as the Royal Rumble matches, they could be hit or misses. This is slightly a hit. It was boring. I was kind of sewn out throughout the whole the final quarters of the show. I was completely sewn out. It was boring. It was uninteresting. By the way, Sting will win the world title, defeat Luger at Super Brawl 2. This is Luger's second to last appearance in WCW before he left the company in 1992. He completely shit the bed in WWF. Lex Express, and then I think he had a cup of coffee with the WBF. Vince McMahon's bodybuilding company, trying to compete with the Weeders. Trying to compete with IFBB. Don't want to get into it. Another topic for another time. So. Anyway, so my final rating for WCW Starrcade 1991, my final rating is 2 out of 10. This is a shit storm of a show. This is a bad year for WCW in 1991. They had 3 bad years in WCW's existence. 1991, that was shit. 1995, oh boy, that was crap. And also WCW 2000, that was the mega shit. I think the shows kind of hindered. I think the one circumstance really hindered those shows in 1991 is mostly Ric Flair. If Ric Flair didn't walk out of WCW or /5 from WCW, is it gonna save these shows? Like Great American Bash and Halloween Havoc, Starrcade? Probably not. It's just like this is the. It's not saying it's the dark days. This is like a crap year for WCW. You know, I heard about these. I haven't really watched these shows yet. Great American Bash '91, Halloween Havoc '91, because I heard about these shows being bad, but I haven't saw it yet. You have to. That'll be another classic future WCW pay-per-view review for another time. So, anyways, so I hope you enjoy my review of WCW Starrcade 1991. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Smash the like button and subscribe to the Central Mind Network on YouTube. Next time, instead of doing my traditional WCW shows, my classic WCW pay-per-view reviews on a traditional Saturday, I'm going to do it at Christmas time. I'm going to review a classic really one more Starrcade show before this month is out. It'll be on Christmas Day, Friday, 25th of December, 2020. Let's travel 4 years into the future. Like the last two Starrcade shows, that was under the it was under the Jim Crockett promotion banner, A3 and A7, and then going into the under the WCW banner. The last that was the first one I did since in the spring I reviewed Starrcade 1996. That was a truly good show. That was in the Monday Night War era. The Starrcade shows I reviewed was in the pre-Monday Night War era. So let's go into that Monday Night War era. It's been a long time. Let's review Starrcade 1995, the World Cup of Wrestling. Like I reviewed, like I said, I reviewed some good shows of Starrcade. Starrcade 83, Starrcade 87, and Starrcade 1996. And Starrcade 91 was a shit show. So yeah, on Christmas Day, I'll review Starrcade 1995. You have to wait until Christmas. So this is Essential Man officially signing out. Yeah, WCW Starrcade 1991, Lethal Lottery Battle Ball. What a shitstorm of a show.